everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I can't believe it has already been like 2 more weeks since my last video. I just had my 29-week midwife appointment 2 days ago, and I could not believe that it had been 3 entire weeks since my midwife appointment before that. It literally is going by in a heartbeat. I can't believe how quickly time is passing. But I wanted to film today my weeks 28 and 29 pregnancy update. So if you are interested, stay tuned. I am going to talk not just about symptoms and things I have going on, weight gain and stuff like that, but I'm also going to touch upon like a couple book reviews of like resources that I have been using that I thought might be cool to talk about. Anyway, so weeks 28 and 29, I'm kind of going to do a side-by-side comparison because they have been very different experiences for me for one main reason, and that main reason is iron. Leading up until week 28, actually I take that back, leading up until week 26, I was super solid with my energy levels. I was taking just a very generic iron supplement because my midwives told me I needed to start taking one at 20 weeks. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I was exploding with energy at that time, and I had no indication I was going to have any kind of iron problem, but I decided to just do what I was told and take the supplements. And that cheap generic brand, it was just like literally like the store brand type from Apotek, if you live in Sweden. It really did a number on my stomach. It was making me very constipated and uncomfortable, and so I switched to a brand here that's more expensive, and it's called Duroferon, I think that's how you say it. And that dosage is like 100 milligrams a day, I think. So I was taking that, and again, like I was just having really hard stomach issues. I was constipated and felt like I needed to go to the bathroom but couldn't pass it, and it was like I was only going to the bathroom like once every 3 days, and it just wasn't comfortable. And so I brought it up to my midwife at my 26-week appointment, so that was like 3.5 weeks ago, and she recommended I take this new supplement here called Cedar Al Fort. And it's extremely expensive. It's 300 Swedish crowns for a pack of 30 pills, which equates to about $1 a pill. But my midwife told me I only needed to take one every other day, and so I'm like, oh, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So starting at week 26, I started taking one Cedar Al Fort iron pill every other day. And I didn't have any problems with it in my week 26. Week 27, I started to notice a little bit more fatigue, but nothing that I thought was out of the ordinary. But come week 28, I was in a bad place. I was sleeping 15 to 18 hours a day and still not able to function. I couldn't drive. I was falling asleep at the wheel. I was having to spend my lunch breaks at work walking just to wake myself up, because otherwise I was literally falling asleep at my desk. I didn't put 2 and 2 together until the end of that week. So like just before I had turned 28 full weeks, I realized, maybe this is a problem. And so I think it was when I was around 28 plus 3, I decided to take a look at the box of the pills I was taking, and it turns out that they're only 30 milligram iron pills. So I was going from 100 milligrams a day using Duroferon to 30 milligrams every other day using Cedar Al Fort. Which clearly was not enough for me. So I decided to compromise, and now I'm taking a Cedar Al Fort every other day, and then on the other days I'm taking a Duroferon every other day. And the combination of those two has been good because I am not having constipation issues. I mean, it's like a little bit of, sometimes it can be a little whatever, but it's nothing bad. And that seems to be working for me, and I'm not so fatigued anymore. So my number one symptoms between 28 and 29 weeks were horrible fatigue and strange food cravings, like craving dark chocolate and craving leafy greens. Who craves dark leafy greens, right? Rare, super rare red meat. All those things indicated to me that my iron was off. So I went from having those like weird cravings and extreme fatigue to not having any cravings whatsoever and having pretty normal energy levels in week 29. So just for reference, today I am 29 weeks and 3 days. So I'm reflecting on the previous 2 weeks. And I'm still feeling great and have adequate energy levels now. Braxton Hicks, this pregnancy, has been pretty crazy. I have been having Braxton Hicks now. They started actually like in week 17, I think, and then they went away when I started hydrating more. And then like they sort of came back, I think around week 22, and I just have them daily. And it's not just at night, although they tend to be focused in the nighttime. But I get them when I'm really stressed out, like especially with my toddler. If I am overexerting myself physically, which ironically, I never get them at the gym. So I wonder where the body-mind connection is, because when I'm like cleaning the house or doing something that I'm just not really into, or I'm having to like do crap out in the yard or whatever, or lug my toddler around or do things that I'm just not like energetically invested in, I tend to get Braxton Hicks more when I'm exerting myself in that way. But especially at night, and especially if I'm like not doing something I'm comfortable with. So we had a like open house at my daughter's preschool on Thursday night last week, and I was just getting them back to back, left and right, like so many of them. So there's like a mind-body connection in my Braxton Hicks that I haven't really put my finger on, but I get them, you know, they just last a few seconds, whatever. Right, let's talk about pain. I wake up, I would say 4 to 5 out of every 7 days of the week. I wake up in the morning or throughout the night, just anytime I get out of bed, with like mild to somewhat moderate pain in my pubic bone joint. So like, because your pubic bone is not actually a solid bone, it's a joint. There's like a ligament or cartilage or something in between it so that your pelvis can expand for childbirth. And in that like opening area, I have like a really bad achy pain whenever I stand up out of bed. And it doesn't hit me until I'm out of bed and I've taken 2 or 3 steps, and then it like slowly comes on and it just sticks around for like, I don't know, 10 or 20, 30 more steps that I take, and then it goes away. I know this is just a very, very, very mild symptom of symphysis pubis dysfunction, SPD. I know there's nothing I can do about it. I still sleep with my maternity pillow every night, and you know, I sleep with part of it between my legs, and I do all the things you're supposed to do, and I avoid all the movements you're supposed to avoid to not make this worse, and it hasn't gotten any worse. It doesn't seem to be worse or better dependent on if I rest more or if I work out more. It just is there, and it's not always there. Like the past couple mornings I've woken up and I haven't felt anything, and then I know like in a couple days I'll probably get out of bed and it'll be like, oh. So I find that ice helps a lot. I've also read that heat can help, but I don't know where our heating pad is. I have to order a new one. But I've noticed that if I ice at night, in the morning when I wake up, I don't tend to have much discomfort. So I don't know if there's a correlation there or not. Maybe it's just all in my head. And then I have started noticing fetal hiccups. I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video. It's not something I had really been paying attention to because my baby tends to move a lot, and I don't like sit there and like listen, you know, just sit and focus on these movements. I just feel them. I don't really think about them. But I have noticed now that baby is having hiccups, and I feel them directly at the like at the base of my uterus where my pubic bone is. And so I had an inkling going into my most recent midwife appointment that my baby was head down. So those were my symptoms for 28 and 29 weeks. At 28 plus 0, I weighed myself and I clocked in at 75.2 kilos, which was a gain of 0.6 kilograms in 1 week and a gain of 8.6 kilograms total. And then at the end of 29 weeks, I weighed myself. So this was on Monday. Today is Thursday. And I weighed in at 75.6 kilograms. So I gained an additional 0.4 kilograms for that week, and then a total of 9 kilograms total. So as of right now, assuming I were to say I was 29 weeks pregnant, I have gained 9 kilograms. And I use this calculator on Google. I'll put the link below because I really like this one. I've tried a bunch of different pregnancy weight gain calculators to show if you're within proper range as your pregnancy continues. And this one I like the best. So I'll put the link in the description box below. But I'm like right exactly where I should be to gain like the average amount of weight. I think it's actually like to gain 30 pounds, which is what, 14 kilograms or something? I'm on that curve. So I'm very happy about that. Like I said, I had my midwife appointment, and the stats that I have received back from my midwife are that I was 29 plus 1 at my midwife appointment, and my fundal height was measuring 28 centimeters. The baby's heart rate was 145 beats per minute, and it's a boy baby. I don't know if anyone cares about that. My blood pressure was 100/55, which is normal for me. My non-fasting blood sugar was 5.3 mmol per liter. Don't even ask me what those units mean. I don't know, but it was 5.3, and I know that's just like a good reading. My hemoglobin was 134, is it grams per liter? That doesn't make sense to me, but I know that the abbreviation is G/L. So 134 G/L. And she did manually palpate, and she said she felt the head, what she thought was the head down below, and then based off of my kicking patterns, she says that my baby is head down and left occiput. Occiput? Anyway. In terms of vaccinations, I am going to get the flu shot, the like pregnancy version. I know there's no pregnancy version. I've had like some very heated discussions in Facebook groups about this, but I know that there is a like pregnancy friendly version of the flu shot that I think it doesn't have the preservative in it that like the regular flu shot does. I don't know. I never get flu shots because I always get the flu before the flu shot comes out. So I'm one of those like horribly unfortunate people who always gets the flu, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. But in my pregnancies, I do get the flu shot because it is recommended, and I personally see no harm. I am pro-vax, so that's just my deal. But I do know that women, at least in the States, get a Tdap booster, which is mostly to cover whooping cough, which I think is pertussis, right? It's the P in the Tdap acronym. But they don't do that here, I guess. I don't know. I asked my midwife, and she said that no, they don't do that here. My Tdap is current, and I also had the booster in 2016. I know that like in the States, they recommend you get the booster every pregnancy. I'm not going to do it here, I guess, this time. So that's that. In terms of things I have purchased, I have been going on massive spending sprees. I don't even have like a full list of all the things I've bought, but the things that came off the top of my hand that I have recently purchased were I ordered a stethoscope. It's just a very cheap stethoscope, but apparently after something like, what is it, like after 26 weeks, you can start to hear baby with just, you know, a normal little stethoscope. No like harmful Doppler sound waves or infrared or whatever. None of that. It's just your old school stethoscope. So I've ordered one of those. I'm excited to try it out. It might not work. Probably won't work, but it'll be fun anyway. I ordered a TENS machine. And I got that mostly because my husband is having back problems, but I also thought it would be really good to have one here at home for when labor starts, because I know that those are really good non-medicinal pain relief resources, or like tools, a TENS machine. So I mean, they're not that expensive on Amazon. I think this one we got for like 35 euro. Which is a hell of a lot cheaper than paying for a private physiotherapist for my husband's back. So we're going to give this a try and see if it works, and if he likes it, then I'll try it in labor. I totally just doubled down on Earth Mama Angel Baby products. I keep hearing them recommended by people all over the place, in books and online, and then like on the Birth Hour podcast. I heard like an episode recently, and they were just going on and on and on about like the Earth Mama. I think they've rebranded and they call themselves Earth Mama Organics now, but they have this bottom spray, and like the bottle acts as a peri bottle, so you can turn it upside down and spray it upside down. So I'm like, ah, fuck it, you know, I'm just gonna get it. So I got the bottom spray, I got the perineal balm, and I got the nipple butter, and I got their tea. So I'm still waiting for a couple of those things to arrive, but I did order a bunch of those. I ordered a ton of nursing bras. So on Amazon UK, there is a brand called I Love Sia, and Sia is S-I-A, and I think it's all just one word. So little I, big L-O-V-E, and then S-I-A. And they have these nursing bras. I'm actually wearing one right now. I love them. I got 2 of them with my daughter. They're so inexpensive. They're from China, but they have like thousands of 5-star reviews. And so I decided to just splurge and get a couple in my last pregnancy, and I've been living in them this pregnancy. I use them as my sports bra. I use them as my regular bra. I'm gonna use them as my nursing bra. So I ordered another 3-pack of those. By the way, can we just talk about bra size right now? Because with my daughter, I always just wore my normal bras. I am a 34B without pregnancy, and like I think I maybe got a very small, like a 32C cup bra with my last pregnancy, and that one seemed to fit as well, but I didn't notice much like breast change with my daughter. But this time I am pouring out of my bras, but I don't think I'm that big. I'm gonna show you guys, but I measured myself, and according to online calculators, they're saying that I'm a size 34 triple D. So like, tell me if I look like a 34 triple D. I mean, this does not look that big, and I'm wearing a padded nursing bra. So like, I'm actually smaller than I appear in this video, but like, this is like such TMI, but if I were to grab myself, my boobs are about 25% bigger than what I can grab with my whole hand. It just doesn't seem like what a triple D, like D as in dog, would be. I don't know. So I don't have bra stores around here. We live in the country. I'd have to drive 2 hours just to get to a bra store where they have actual fitters. So everything I buy has to be online, and it's kind of a scary task to be ordering 34 triple D bras when I've only ever been a 34B in my life. So anyway, and then I bought like a ton of sleeper gowns off of a friend here, little boy, Carter's sleeper gowns, which I love for the first months of having a newborn. And then I totally went on an epic binge shopping spree on Next in the UK. I love their stuff. And then I bought a nursing pillow from the company My Breast Friend, and it was recommended to me from another friend who said that these products that My Breast Friend produces are amazing, and they had such a good sale. So I got one of those. It's in the closet, but I'm not unwrapping it because I don't want cat hair and stuff on it. So I'm excited about that. Things I still need to buy. I want to get a breastfeeding chair. I need to get my pump. I'll talk about that in my breastfeeding video, but I've already decided I'm going to get a Spectra S1 this time. We need to get a baby video monitor, but I need to do some research on those because I know that there's some like hacking issues with Wi-Fi video monitors, so I need to look into that more. And we need to get a baby bouncer. You know, just one of those little bouncy chairs. So I think that is it for now. I have plans to start doing perineal massage and taking red raspberry leaf supplements and eating dates at around 35 to 36 weeks. So probably in like 5 to 6 weeks, I'll start that kind of stuff. I also want to start focusing on pelvic opening exercises just to make sure that my muscles and ligaments are supple and easily flexible so that baby is able to descend nicely. But I don't want to do those now because I'm having this pubic bone pain. And my biggest fear at this point in my pregnancy, well, I guess I have a lot of fears, but my like current fear is I don't want to do anything now that will set me up for making any kind of pelvic pain worse. I just feel like I'm too early in my pregnancy. My goal has been to get to 30 weeks before like, not debilitating pains, but like pains where I really need to stop doing certain activities could possibly start. So I'm 29 and a half weeks, so I'm like a few days away from reaching my 30-week goal, but I really don't want to put myself in a position where I cause myself to have problems this early. So I'm gonna wait to do like prenatal yoga and things like that. I'm gonna wait until I'm like 1 to 1.5 months away from my due date, because that way I have enough time to implement like exercises and stretches for them to make a difference. But if I hurt myself, I don't have that much longer to go in my pregnancy, you know? So those are my plans. So I'll talk more about that, I guess, in a couple videos from now, once I get there. Okay, this video is now super long, but I want to do some book reviews. So in my first pregnancy, I got 3 books. Actually, I got 4 books, but I didn't read one of them. I got your standard What to Expect When You're Expecting book, and back then this was the 4th edition. And I also used the What to Expect app, and I really liked them, you know. I don't remember much from reading this book because I haven't reread it, but I thought it was quite comprehensive. I feel like I learned a lot, but I also didn't know anything about pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum, or anything like that. I was just, you know, I was at the mercy of popular wisdom and like whatever my OBGYN would tell me, which by the way, I loved my OBGYN in LA. But I've learned a lot since then, and I noticed that midwives and doulas tend to know a lot more about pregnancy and childbirth that you just don't hear about in like mainstream OBGYN settings. So I really enjoyed this book as a first resource, given where I was at in what little I knew about the whole thing, but I have not felt compelled to read it again. I also had bought The Womanly Art of Breastfeeding by La Leche League. Now let me show you guys this. I made it all the way until, no, I guess not. Yeah, no. I made it like all the way up until chapter 17. So like I read the vast majority of the book, but the only chapter that I probably should have read, which was the one that probably would have come in the most handy, was their chapter 18, tech support. I never got to that, and I'm going to talk more about this in my breastfeeding video because I had some enormous struggles, and I plan on approaching breastfeeding so differently this time around. So if you're interested in what I have to say, what I did, what I wish I had done, what I plan on doing now, what I've learned, etc., watch that video because I have some things I want to talk about, and I would love to have feedback too if you have any. I also bought this book because it was recommended on Amazon. It's Heading Home with Your Newborn. Didn't read a single didn't read a single page of this. I take that back. I think I read 2 chapters of it because I have notes written. But I don't think I'm going to be reading much from this book, but there are a couple chapters that I want to refresh myself on when it comes to like diaper output and breastfeeding. So whatever. If you think that's interesting, go ahead and get it. I can't say much about it because I didn't read it. And then I bought this book, At Föda, which is by Gudrun Abeskal, and it is a midwife's thoughts, advice, and experience. And I did not read any of this in my last pregnancy, and I've read about 25% of it now, but this is one of those books I plan on saving to read in my last 6 to 8 weeks of pregnancy, because this is a midwife's perspective and she shares so much good knowledge about the whole process of labor and delivery and breastfeeding and things like that. This, of course, is written in Swedish, so if you're in Sweden and or you understand Swedish, this is like one of those books that seems to go around a lot. But what that book reminds me of is the book that I would highly recommend for anyone, no matter what pregnancy you're in, which of course is Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. Who hasn't read this book, right? I personally did not read, I think I read maybe like 5 or 6 of the birth stories, and then I just skipped over them because I have read, watched, and listened to so many birth stories that the birth stories in this book didn't like offer me anything extra that I didn't already know. And I don't have time to be reading book upon book upon book, but holy crap, for all that I have educated myself on, the second part of this book, she goes all in about the part 2, it's the essentials of birth. She talks about all of the physiological changes and stages and the hormonal components to labor and delivery, and she talks about this thing called sphincter law, which I found to be amazing and literally quite mind-blowing. I haven't finished the book. I'm currently on chapter 7 of part 2. So I'm just slowly working my way through this book. I don't want to read it too early and then forget what I'm learning, but the knowledge and information shared in part 2 of this book is unbelievable. And if you have not like completely binged on birth stories like I have over the past 2.5 years, I highly recommend you just read the whole damn book, because the birth stories are so crucial in preparing for labor and delivery. I mean, I know some people like to avoid it because they don't like scary stories, but Ina May does not have any scary birth stories. I mean, it's amazing. I bought the Mama Natural Week by Week Guide to Pregnancy and Childbirth this pregnancy, and I've read through it as the weeks go on, just because I find it interesting and exciting just to see, oh, what is she writing about this time? But in terms of a second pregnancy, I have not found this book to like offer me anything in addition to what I already know. But I consider myself already like a healthy person and kind of educated, I guess, in these areas. So there weren't many new things I think that I could have learned from this. But she does have a whole chapter about like cleaning out your house from toxic chemicals and things like that. I have to confess, I mean, I try to use like cleaner alternatives to cleaning supplies and soaps and shampoos and lotions, but I'm really not all that conscious. And that's mostly because I rarely use them. As you guys can see, I never wear makeup, and like I just don't use like body products and stuff like that, so it's not really that big of a concern to me. But if you're really into that kind of thing, or you want to greenify your household, she has some really interesting stuff to talk about. And what I really do appreciate out of this book is that each chapter is dedicated to whatever week you're in, and you get a little synopsis of what's going on with baby, what's going on with mom, and then the week itself has a topic. So this is the checklist topic, and it talks about all the products that you might want to look into or think about when it comes to buying for your baby. But each chapter comes with a birth mantra, which I'm really into these days, and it comes with a recipe. So I actually got my bone broth recipe from this book, and I found that to be very useful for me. It does have some useful things, even if you are a well-seasoned birther, but for the most part, like, I wouldn't say this is critical or essential, and I just mostly read it for the fun of it. Okay, so this big kahuna, Pregnancy Day by Day. I want to talk about this book for a minute. I'm going to talk about the pros first. Each week, you start off with what is going on with your body, your uterus, whatever, and then there is literally every page is dedicated to like that day in your pregnancy. So here you have 279 days to go, and then you have 278 days to go, 277 days to go, and so forth. And they show you like a little, usually an ultrasound picture, but this is the early, these are the early weeks, so there's no ultrasound to be seen. But here they show you like pictures of the ovaries and your uterine lining. They talk about things that could be going on with your baby or your body in that given week. They talk about things for you to consider, like exercises or food, or how to manage comments you get from people, or how to go about planning your maternity leave, or things like that. So if you are into like just wanting to obsess and have something to read about literally every single day of your pregnancy, this is a good book. But I really want to talk about some major cons of this book. It is written by like obstetricians and doctors, and there are not, as far as I know. Okay, I had to briefly read through the contributors section here. There's like a ton of contributors, but from what I see here, they're all doctors. They're all like PhDs, MDs, specialists, whatever, which is not a bad thing. Like, you would think, wow, these are some highly educated people. But the information, the scientific information offered in this book is lackluster. And I say that maybe from a place of like, I have been reading and listening to so much stuff, not just from doctors, but from, like I said, midwives and midwife nurse practitioners, and maybe people who are a little more involved in the holistic side of things, that, you know, a lot of the information they share in this book, it's so bland and basic and not comprehensive. So it's a little ironic that a book that has a page about every single day of your pregnancy wouldn't be comprehensive, but I find it to be a little bit more on the disappointing side, to be honest. Just as, and I mean, they're little things. I haven't kept a list of things that I found to be a little bit disappointing, but for instance, it says in this book that sperm can survive in the body for 3 days. And that's not actually, like, true. I mean, it's been proven that they can live up to 5 days, and in some studies, like, they even lived up to, like, 6 days and 7 days in the reproductive tract. But here they say that sperm lives up to 3 days, and it's just not, like, it's not comprehensive. So, I don't know. But, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's been a very interesting book, and I do read it. I binge it, you know, every other week. I'll just catch up on what I've missed out. So this is a cool book, but it's not, I mean, it's just very basic, watered down, stuffy white coat medical information. So there's that. The other books that I have are Expecting Better, which I can't find. I heard a podcast of a woman saying that she reads that with every single one of her pregnancies, so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll get it now. I found the fertility chapter really interesting, and I've read a little bit, just a little bit of a chapter in the very, very end, but the middle stuff, I mean, I love this book because it's very, very, very evidence-based. It's science and evidence-based, and this woman got down to the root of all of her sources and then kind of like regurgitates her information. She shows like charts and graphs and studies that really help prove the point of what she's saying, and I totally appreciate this book. But as a second-time parent who has like kind of like immersed their brain in birth wisdom and science and stuff like that, I haven't found there to be much that I didn't already know or that I would want to learn more about. But the fertility chapters I found to be kind of cool. But if you're a first-time parent, or maybe you are like just now embarking on your journey to getting to the bottom of evidence and science-based techniques and wisdom and knowledge surrounding pregnancy, fertility, labor and delivery, that kind of stuff, I really recommend Expecting Better, because it is it's a cool resource and it's very well sourced, which is important. And then the other book I have on my Kindle, and it's called Föda utan rädsla, and that is a Swedish book. The title translates to Birth Without Fear, and I know Birth Without Fear is an actual very popular pregnancy and labor delivery book. I haven't read Birth Without Fear, and I think that Birth Without Fear is not the same book as Föda utan rädsla, because they have different authors, and it's not just translators. I think they actually have different authors. But the Föda utan rädsla book is good. I read it between pregnancies for some reason, so I can't remember much, but I do remember thinking that I was learning a lot of really cool wisdom and knowledge, especially from like a midwife perspective. And then the last book that I keep hearing thrown around is Birthing from Within. I don't have that book and I haven't read it. The Mama Natural Guide talks about that book as being sort of like on the farther end of the spectrum when it comes to like being very, very holistic and very, very like, I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say right now. It's just maybe slightly out there, but that's the only time I've heard that book described in that way. I've mostly heard about this book from women telling their birth stories on like the Birth Hour podcast or on the Australian Birth Stories podcast, and they all seem to have great things to say about it. So Birthing from Within, maybe something to look into, especially if you're into like holistic type of birthing knowledge. But that's what I have. I know that there are a bunch of other books. There's so many books, but these are the ones that I have focused on. That's that for my weeks 28 and 29 / resource description video. So I'm really sorry this is a long one. I hope you guys found it interesting. Stay tuned, because I am going to be filming this week or next week my breastfeeding and postpartum action plan video. So I'm going to be putting that out soon, and if you are an expert on either topic, please watch it and listen to what I'm planning on doing and leave me comments or critiques or further information or things I should look into, because I am in the market for information about breastfeeding and postpartum. I am educating myself now so that I am ready to go. I did not focus nearly as much time on educating myself about breastfeeding and postpartum with my first baby. And now I'm starting to come to the realization that having a postpartum plan is 9 million times more important than having a birth plan. You know, your birth lasts like a day and you have very little control over it anyway, and you kind of just gotta get through it one way or the other. But postpartum and breastfeeding, you have so much influence over those things, and your experience into new motherhood is so heavily influenced on the preparation you do beforehand, so that you are not scrambling in a time when you are hormonal and sleep deprived and frustrated and touched out and frazzled and everything like that. So if you don't have a postpartum plan, start one now. And if not, or if you do, come watch my video and give me updates or information or critiques so that I can further prepare myself. Let me show my bump. You kind of already saw it. Oi! How awkward. I'm on the bed right now. So this, I am 20, let's see, what did I say I was? I'm 29 plus 3. This is my 29 plus 3 bump after lunch, so it's a little full. But this is the big kahuna, and let's see if I can just move my tripod. Oh boy. There we go. So now I can stand. Oh my god. So this is my baby bump. And you know, you can see, do you see the shadow here? I feel like I can actually see my abs separating, and I'm sure that's normal, but I do not have a linea nigra yet. I had one for sure by this stage in my pregnancy with my daughter, but I do not have that line going down my stomach. In my pictures, when I take belly pictures, you just see the shadow of the separation between my abs, unfortunately, which you can see through this shirt. So I'll just go ahead and show the big kahuna. So this is not a linea nigra. This is a shadow. Like, it's an actual dip. Like, that is the separation of my abs right there, and I hope that doesn't indicate anything bad. Anyway, but here is my belly. Let's face the light. Yeah, it's getting big, you guys. I am not little anymore. It's definitely out there, but that is baby number 2. So thanks for watching. I'm out of here. Catch you guys later.